Chapter 6 The Miracle of the Human Body. Please, push gently, Father is working, whispered one child as they tried to push aside the door together. The door, the temple entrance, where Nalas Nalanda was sitting and working, was massive. That is the only temple. It is vast, majestic, and splendid. Once the children had entered the temple, they stared at each pattern on the walls and ceiling by the magnificent golden light interwoven with the antiquity emanating from everywhere. The materials in the temple are all made from gold. Only the temple's floor is made from rare precious stones. Gold and precious stone are crafted to create a magnificent work, making the energy inside the temple pure, warm, and ancient. The light emitted from these materials created light for him to work without using lamps. The Tuệ called this place a temple to pay homage to their revered father. And the truth is that this temple is not a place of worship. He works in this place, such as giving lectures to Tuệ and discussing work with other Tuệ. When my memory first showed me this temple, I thought, why does this place have such a lavish and wasteful life? Because gold and jewels are extremely precious possessions, yet they use it to create a temple. But when the memories of paradise were completely put together, I understood why it was like that. Heaven is a planet agglomerated by all three groups of matter that make up the universe. Not only that, but the smallest and the most quintessential particles of energy are stored and constituted into remarkable substances and such value. Supermatter constitutes the Tuệ life form. Simple matter forms the soil, rocks, water, plants, gold, silver, and precious stones. Complex matter constitutes energies that maintain alignment and give life and aura to the entire planet. That is truly miraculous because the place where people live is entirely different to this place. As the children approached him, they walked softly and did not stop looking at the work and patterns on the golden and ancient walls. The place where he sat to work was a simple and low table. He sat with his legs stacked on top of each other. Opposite his sitting position are seats for our Tuệ who will sit there whenever they listen to or discuss work with him. He was still working even though he knew they were coming in. Perhaps he did not want to break the peaceful moment when they revealed in the ancient space with the beautiful works inside the temple. The temple's wall sculptures depict images of life in the universe. There are sketches of life in heaven and many pictures showing life elsewhere. In particular, many paintings depict human life in the human world. The images of the human world make the children observe. They observed and immersed themselves in the work as if trying to learn something. Our Father has finished his work, one of them said quietly. When the children looked at him, he has looked at them ever since. Seeing this, The children immediately approached him and said, facing him, "Father, we have been here many times, but we feel different from the previous time this time. From the lectures that you have taught us, we gradually understand the life of the Tuệ Linh, especially the curiosity about human life that exists in our minds. The sketches of life in the human world make us excited to be the same characters in those paintings. So today, I will teach you about humans. Do you want that?" "Father, we are looking forward to it, so we have come to hear you preach," the children replied. "What have you seen from the sketches of human life?" "Father, we see babies being held by their mothers, children playing, children studying, adults lecturing, places of learning and teaching, small houses, big houses, temples, crowded residential areas, people working, fat people beating thin people while they are kneeling on the ground. Many people are killing each other because of war. The deaths of children, people enjoying food, drinking and laughing, adults and children in the house. People are mourning for their loved ones who are lying down due to something, and many other images. Those sketches are the living situations and circumstances that each Tuệ Linh, when incarnating as a human, will have to go through while living in the human world. There are countless other situations as well. One of them confided, "Father, I see people who look like us." Yes, the human form is built on the model of our Tuệ Linh form. That is because it is the symbol of beauty and wisdom. In particular, that model creates a close connection between humans and Tuệ Linh and feels friendly in the process of reincarnation through many lives as a practitioner. "Father, that is wonderful. The Tuệ Linh will appreciate the human form when incarnating as a human, and when people understand the truth, they will merge with the Tuệ Linh inside to carry out their mission on the practicing path. Isn't that right, Dad?" "Yes, children, I will teach you about the wonder of the human form." The children become excited and begin to look intently at him, taking in every detail he said. After a moment of silence, he began to teach the children about humans. In the previous lesson, I told you about the Tuệ Linh, the secrets of the Tuệ Linh. The information and movement mechanism of the Tuệ Linh is the biggest secret and the most difficult to discover. You must understand that information and its processing and reaction are the wisdom of the Tuệ Linh. Intelligence is encoded in the intellectual wave code, fiber system in Tuệ Linh. Each Tuệ Linh cannot know its intellect and other Tuệ Lins, as well as all other things, because information encryption is tightly secured in the original yin and yang embryo and the intellectual wave encoding system. Little by little, the intellectual nature is only manifested and recognized at the end of responding to information from the Tuệ Linh to all things and other subjects. I give you some examples. When a Tuệ Linh moves into the habitat of annihilation energy, that Tuệ immediately disintegrates entirely and as a result no longer exists in life. When other Tuệ are witnessing it, they only understand that the place is hazardous, but don't know why. When a Tuệ is penetrated by the body by destructive energy particles, he feels pain and emotional conflicts occur. Information disturbance occurs, but he does not understand what the nature is. When you are born from the original yin and yang embryo, and it takes a very long time to form you and the other Tuệ will not understand why that process happens. Especially in my case, it is easy for me to absorb the destructive energies and transform them into energy superparticles. But you can't do that, and you can't understand why. The process of responding to information from within each Tuệ is the secret. It is not easy for the Tuệ to recognize its intellect. This has caused many Tuệ to be disintegrated by destructive energy, and the maturity of Tuệ takes a lot of time. It causes the decline of the Tuệ life form and the universe to become more and more present. The reason is that the Tuệ form cannot understand itself, cannot understand all things, especially cannot understand the destructive energy group. The object that causes death to the Tuệ and all things in the universe. Children, the living environment on this planet is pure, free, and peaceful. You do not see any sorrow or suffering in needing material or spiritual possessions. Even if you want it, it will be satisfied by the crystallization of the best energies on this planet. This makes it impossible for you to unleash the intellectual nature hidden within yourself. I have realized that the Tuệ life form lacks a living environment to help them reveal all the information within. To solve this problem, I have created a new living environment for all Tuệ, a live environment in human form in the human world. When living in human form, through many lifetimes of practices, you will gradually understand your wisdom, especially when continuously reacting to information outside will promote your growth process faster. The human living environment will help all Tuệ understand the nature of the information and movement mechanisms, and from there will select the best method to help each Tuệ become mature faster. At that time, the Tuệ life form will become immortal, together developing all things in and outside the universe to become sustainable. The miracle of the human form is to help all Tuệ understand themselves, each other, and all things inside and outside the universe. You will experience that miracle in your human lives in the human world. Why is the human body so miraculous? Hey, children, I will analyze for you to understand the structure and mechanism of human movement. Number 1. The structure of a complete human. Like the structure of the Tuệ, the structure of a complete human being consists of 3 constituent elements. It includes body, soul, and wisdom. These three elements are always united together in inseparability, because if separated, people will die. A person will not be genuinely complete if one of the three elements is defective or weakened. The first element is the human body. Appearance is similar to Tuệ Linh. A human has two legs, arms, a middle body, a neck, and a head. They are Tuệ Linh copies. However, the difference with Tuệ Linh is that humans have gender. Male represent the positive energy group and the female represent the negative energy group. When men and women connect to create an information reaction process, this will help us see the mechanism of producing energy particles of Tuệ Linh, and all things through the construction of human gender. The human body is divided into two stages, before birth and after birth. Before birth, there must be a connection between the woman and the man, so that the father's sperm and the mother's egg can fuse. When they combine, an embryonic membrane is formed, which holds the embryo formed from the egg and sperm inside. The embryo is located in the mother's womb. It is closely connected to the mother's body and Tuệ Linh to receive energy and nutrients for the embryo's maturation process. The simple energy particles in the fetus's body are quickly separated at a time. Each smaller energy particle retains information about its function and task. They then bind large numbers to form cells in the fetus body. Each cell type contains a sequence of encoded information inside, which is used to perform different functions and tasks. Those cells are born continuously and perform their functions. This process helps the embryo mature and the baby's shape is formed more clearly, with parts such as legs, arms, head, neck, body, genitals, and functional organs inside the baby's body. You must remember that while the baby is still in the mother's womb, the mother's Tuệ Linh and the nutrition she eats will nourish and protect that fetus. The baby's movements in the mother's womb are due to the process of responding to information and electric waves in the body. Of course, there is a union from the mother's Tuệ Linh to create life as well as the movement of the fetus. In the 7th month, according to the human calendar, the Tuệ Linh who accepts being reincarnated as a human will have to come to the mother's side to protect that mother, and his body will be born smoothly. Why must the Tuệ Linh follow from the 7th month to protect his body and mother? Because the human reincarnation of a Tuệ Linh must be programmed with essential milestones in human life to have a close connection to the overall cause and effect structure of other humans. Therefore, reincarnation as a human must be successful without failure. The 7th month will ensure two conditions for a successful human reincarnation. The fetus is mature and can survive if born prematurely, and the mother will not be able to abort the fetus from the 7th month onwards. Therefore, the Tuệ Linh will be present with the mother from the 7th month, and when the baby is born, the Tuệ Linh officially merges into the baby body to let out the first cry of life to become a child. a complete person. There will be many different cases of fetuses and babies. I will give lectures when I preach in the human world. After being born at that time, the baby's appearance is similar to that of the baby Tuệ Linh. However, the difference with the Tuệ Linh is that within the human body, another structure resides inside to maintain life, which is a Tuệ Linh. The Tuệ Linh is responsible for conserving energy and heat for the body, ensuring the existence of life of the body through unifying with the body and controlling the body in all activities from eating and drinking to study and be productive in labor. Through that process, the cells in the human body are rapidly divided, and from the body of a baby, become an adult, grow old, and die to end a human life. Then continue for the next circle, a reincarnation. The second factor is the soul of humans. The soul is the Tuệ Linh. That is another way of calling it after the Tuệ Linh integrates into the human form to maintain and develop life. The soul's task is to ensure the body's life, control the body in environments that interact with people, animals, and events, and create information reactions from the intellectual wave code system in the Tuệ Linh. That process will help the Tuệ Linh understand and discover the nature of intelligence, information in its intellectual wave code system. In particular, when the Tuệ Linh becomes the soul in the human body, they will no longer remember memories of their original mission and no longer have a magic like living in paradise. That is extremely important and a miracle to help their wisdom manifest and transform. The third element is human intelligence. Human intelligence consists of two parts: the intellectual center and the intellectual transceiver station, as follows. The intellectual center is the intellectual wave code system in the yin and yang embryo inside the Tuệ Linh when he is in the body. The task of the intelligence center is to receive information transmitted from the body's brain. Then there will be information reaction process between the input external information and the information in the intellectual wave code system. At the end of the reaction process, a new amount of information will be created from the yin and yang embryo, the result of the reaction process. Each type of external information can only react and decode one kind of information inside the yin and yang embryo of the Tuệ Linh. The intellectual transceiver station is the human brain. The tools of the intellectual transceiver include sight, smell, hearing, taste, and touch. Through these tools, the brain will absorb information from the outside so that the intelligence center can react and process information. Through that group of tools, the brain will receive the task of transmitting data to the outside world from the intellectual center in the soul. Receiving and transmitting information helps people feel that they have awareness in the brain. We can also call the wisdom of a human life in the human world. Wisdom will use the soul to control the body and interact with all things, events, and phenomena to absorb information and create reactions in the intelligence center. It will then transmit the information to the outside of the body. This process helps the tuệ gradually discover information within itself and all things. Step by step, find and practice the best method in movement mechanism to support the tuệ become more mature. Next is learning how to control all the energy groups in and out of the universe. Number 2. Human movement mechanism. The mechanism of human movement is similar to that of a tuệ. The nature of the information within the center of the intellectual wave code system creates movement methods for all movement mechanisms. In the previous lesson, I just told you about the movement mechanism of the tuệ, and in this lesson, I will analyze more deeply when the tuệ has become the souls in the human body. To understand all of them, you must learn through the sufferings of practice, through the enlightened knowledge that I spread in the human world. The movement of the human body is all due to the information value within the intelligence center operating, reacting, and converting into actions. Human emotions and moods appear during and after the information reaction process in the intellectual wave code fiber system. When humans perceive and understand the quality and quantity of information within their intellectual wave code fiber system, they will select the perfect method to promote and build sustainable movement mechanisms. That mechanism produces super energy particles so that tuệ can mature faster and become enlightened. They then transform the original yin and yang embryos into energy filters and become immortal in this universe. Through the practice environment of tuệ in the human world, through the movement of all things in and out of the universe, primarily through the successful transformation of my original yin and yang embryo to become a powerful filter and produces super energy particles from destructive energy, I tell you about 2 methods of movement of the tuệ from all information reaction processes. That is, the method of producing negative energy particles and the method of producing positive energy particles. When you understand these 2 methods, you will apply them to understand yourself, others, other tuệ, and all things inside and outside the universe. Next, you will choose the most magical method to implement the sustainable energy particle production mechanism. The information reaction process in the human body consists of 4 stages. The first stage, the brain's intellectual transceiver station, will use the 5 senses to absorb information from the outside environment into the center of the intellectual wave code system in the tuệ. External information includes images, cells, matter, people, animals, events, and external phenomena. The second stage, at the center of the intellectual wave code, there will be an information reaction process between external information and the information encoded in the intellectual wave code fiber system. The reaction process depends on the similarity of the information content between the 2 sides. This will result in the new information value being formed. In the third stage, the new information results after the reaction process become an ideology. It includes negative ideology and positive ideology. Negative ideology is the thought of satisfying one's interest but causing harm to other people, animals, and all things in and out of the universe. Positive ideology is the ideology that does not harm humans, aliens, animals, and all things inside and outside the universe for their own sake. It is a thought that devotes itself to spreading, connecting, and uniting all subjects to develop all things to become sustainable in non-discrimination joyfully. In the fourth stage, ideology is transmitted to the brain to direct the five senses to practice. When the body performs the actions of negative ideology, from one to countless negative energy particles will be produced in the yin and yang embryo. Positive and neutral energy particles will not be produced. When the body performs the action of positive ideology, the yin and yang embryo will produce from one to countless positive energy particles, including neutral energy particles. In particular, the negative energy particles produced with electric waves are weak enough to form an energetic particle structure outside the mature yin and yang embryo in a stable ratio 1:1 with the positive energy particles. From the process of reacting information to the actions that occur after that reaction process, we see that negative ideology is toxic information emitted from the original negative intelligence wave code fiber in the yin and yang embryo, and the entire negative intelligence wave code fiber system. The toxin-produced negative energy particles are a combination of external toxic information and the essence of the original intellectual wave code of the alien. It causes the alien to have an excess of countless negative energy particles. As a result, the aliens will not mature. They will become weak, miserable, and disintegrated by the energy of destruction. Positive ideology is the excellent information, the compassion emanating from the original positive intellectual wave code fiber and the positive intelligence wave code fiber system. Positive energy particles are produced. They have control and force out the toxin in the negative particle system. Making positive energy particles bring invaluable benefits. The structure of energy particles in the dwelling is evenly separated, and the value of the energy particles is exceptionally sustainable. This helps the dwelling to transform into a filter that produces super energy particles in the original yin and yang embryo when there is enough quantity and substance in the intellectual wave code system in the entire dwelling. When understand these things, each dwelling human will know how to choose the best method for himself. From there, apply that method to all human movement mechanism into the human world. Step by step, understand all the values of information and wisdom in dwelling. Then they can squeeze out all the toxin inside and persistently perform the activation of good information in the dwelling to produce yang energy particles. Children, today I have explained a tremendous and complex amount of knowledge. Since you have not experienced the reincarnation of a practitioner in the human world, you will not be able to realize what I'm saying today. But by listening to lectures Before becoming human, your yin and yang embryos have retained valuable information to prepare for your practicing path. Through today's lecture, how do you feel? Do you see the miracle of living in a human form? And remember, in the human world, you will never be satisfied with everything because that's my plan. Because of this, it has worked wonders to help the aliens understand themselves, other aliens, and all things inside and outside the universe. The children seem to be intoxicated by the highly complex information of the lecture. They seem to be flying, floating in space, and answer him, "Father, there is no words to describe that miracle." Through the human form, all malicious or good information is activated. From there, the aliens will understand and practice the path of reincarnation to mature and become immortal. That's right. Let's bridge to each other so that you won't forget the lectures I gave you. They will help you quickly succeed on the practicing path in the human world. Seeing the magic of being human, the children became excited and looked forward to the day they would become human. When Nalas Nalanda finished his sermon, he went out. Only children remained inside this ancient and magnificent temple. They continued to look at sketches of the human world. The reflection on their faces showed that they had tried their best to prepare mentally and intellectually for their upcoming human plan.